are, and when we say valuable we mean record-breaking auction prices that have risen. Rumors of private sales going beyond $97 million for the most spectacular specimen ever discovered. So what makes this particular coin so desirable? Well, it comes down to a combination of factors, starting with its famous double die obverse variety, where the date and lettering on the front of the coin show dramatic doubling that can be seen with the naked eye, and this is not a minor doubling but rather one of the most dramatic examples in U.S. coinage history, with clear separation between the letters in Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the numbers in the date 1969, giving the coin a striking almost 3D appearance. And this was the result of a hub doubling during the die-making process, which created a very small number of coins with this distinct doubling before the error was caught and corrected by the mint, making them extremely rare and desirable to collectors. And here is where it gets even more fascinating, because there are also mint mark placement variations where the D mint mark appears slightly off position or even in strange orientations, which can dramatically increase the value because it indicates either repunched mint marks or misaligned dies, and coin experts spend hours examining these tiny details under high-powered microscopes to confirm authenticity and to distinguish the true rare double die from countless machine doubling or worthless doubling that people mistake for the real thing. Now, another factor that skyrockets the value is the condition of the coin, because coins graded in mint state condition, meaning they have never been circulated and retain their original luster, are exponentially more valuable than worn or damaged examples, and some of the top graded pieces in MS65, MS66 or even higher have brought breathtaking amounts of money at auctions, with collectors fighting over them to add these trophies to their collections. Now, beyond the doubling and mint mark errors, there are other varieties that can make the 1969 D penny worth a fortune, such as off-center strikes where part of the design is missing due to a misaligned strike, clipped planchets where a portion of the metal blank is missing giving the coin a crescent-shaped clip, broad strikes where the coin was struck without a collar giving it a stretched appearance, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet. For example, a 1969 D penny struck on a dime planchet would be a remarkable error and worth an astronomical sum, and all of these error types are highly collectible, and when combined with the rarity of the doubled die can push values into territory that is hard to believe. Now, why is this coin so significant historically? Well, it was minted during a time when coin collecting was gaining popularity in the United States, and the discovery of dramatic errors like the 1969 double die only fueled the craze further, leading to an era of intense searching by collectors young and old who dreamed of finding the next big rarity. And in fact, the U.S. Secret Service initially even investigated the 1969 double die cents, thinking they were counterfeits because the doubling was so extreme, before confirming they were genuine mint products and allowing them to be collected legally, which only added to their legendary status among collectors and made them even more desirable. Now imagine the thrill of finding one of these coins today in a roll of pennies or tucked away in a jar, because even after all these years new examples still turn up occasionally, and when they do, they can completely change someone's life, almost the cent to being worth enough to buy a house or retire comfortably. And that is why coin roll hunting and pocket change searching remains so popular today, because the chance to discover such a rarity still exists, and it is that hope that keeps treasure hunters searching tirelessly. Now, in a lifetime discovery in your hand, and it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. So next time you get change back from a store or go through an old coin jar, remember that one of those ordinary looking pennies could actually be the key to a multi-million-dollar treasure, and that is the magic of coin together to create stories that can turn ordinary people into millionaires and inspire generations of collectors to keep searching and dreaming, because the next great discovery could be waiting just around the corner, and it might just be a little copper coin with a tiny D below the date and a world of history and value hidden in its details. So keep your eyes open, keep learning, and keep hunting, because you never know when luck might strike and turn a single cent into $97 million. Back, coin lovers and treasure hunters. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and mind-blowing stories in the entire world of coin collecting, the incredible tale of the 1-cent 1983 Lincoln penny with the word Liberty proudly shining on its obverse, and its shocking market value that can go as high as $98 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single cent with a face value of just 1 penny turning into a life-changing fortune because of rare mint errors. Fascinating historical context, and the passionate demand from collectors worldwide. And if you are someone who has ever looked at a simple penny and tossed it aside thinking it has no real worth, this video is going to change the way you see pocket change forever. So sit tight, because we are going to explore everything about the 1983 penny, its background, its history, its key design details, and why some examples have shocked the numismatic community with prices that seem too good to be true, but are absolutely real. And to start, we have to take you back to the early 1980s, when the United States Mint was undergoing major transitions in coin composition, moving away from the traditional bronze cents that had been struck for over a century and introducing the new copper-plated zinc cent starting in 1982, a decision driven by rising copper prices and the need to keep production costs lower. But this change led to a series of fascinating transitional errors, off-metal strikes, and unique varieties that today are considered holy grails for collectors. And among these varieties, the 1983 penny holds a very special place because most 1983 pennies were struck on the new zinc planchets, yet some incredibly rare examples were struck on leftover copper planchets by mistake, resulting in what is called a transitional error. These copper 1983 cents are significantly heavier at 3.11 grams compared to the normal zinc cents that weigh 2.5 grams, and this simple difference in weight is the first clue to knowing whether you have one of these million-dollar rarities in your collection. Now, what makes the 1983 penny even more interesting is that there are multiple types of valuable errors that can exist on this date, including double die obverse varieties where the word liberty or the date shows clear doubling visible even without magnification, dramatic off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, die cracks that create extra metal lines across Lincoln's portrait, and mint mark errors like misplaced D or S mint marks or even missing mint marks entirely, which create another level of desirability for error collectors. And it's not just error collectors who are after this coin. Even regular date and mint mark collectors want a high-grade specimen for their Lincoln cent sets, which drives the price up further, especially in mint state red condition graded by PCG and GC, where top population coin upside down in a single day. And that's why we always encourage viewers to check their coins carefully under good lighting and with a simple jeweler's scale to verify the weight and a magnifying glass to look for doubling. Now let's talk about why mint errors and transitional mistakes are so sought after, because they tell a story about the minting process itself. A process that involves enormous high-speed presses, striking millions of coins per day, and when something goes wrong, like a leftover planchet from the previous year being fed into the press, or dies being improperly hubbed creating doubling, or collars breaking and allowing off-center strikes, these mistakes escape into circulation in very small numbers, making them ultra-rare survivors of a production accident. And rarity is the heart of numismatic value. Combine that with historical significance, collector demand, and condition rarity, and you get the recipe for a coin worth millions. And the 1983 penny checks all these boxes, especially in the case of the transitional copper strikes, which are essentially wrong metal coins struck in an era where the mint was trying to adjust to new materials, and this makes them not only valuable but also historically important because they represent a moment of change in U.S. coinage history. Now you might be wondering how to tell if you have one of these copper 1983 cents or if your coin might have a valuable error. Well, first step is to weigh it on a digital scale accurate to 2 decimal places. If it weighs around 3.11 grams, you could have a copper planchet error and should get it authenticated by a major grading service. If it shows clear doubling on Liberty or in God We Trust, you might have a double die variety, and again, certification is crucial because serious buyers want third-party assurance. If it's a dramatic off-center or has a mint mark variety, it could also be worth thousands, depending on how dramatic and unique the error is. And always remember that condition plays a huge role. Coins with minimal wear, original mint luster, and no major scratches or spots are far more desirable and can sell for multiples of the price of a circulated example, so proper storage is important. If you do find something special, use 2x2 cardboard holders or coin flips to keep them safe until you send them for grading. And let's not forget that collecting coins is not just about making money but also about preserving history and enjoying the hunt. The thrill of finding a rare 1983 penny is an experience in itself, and that's why collectors spend hours searching through rolls, bags, and pocket change, because the next big discovery could be waiting in the most unexpected place. And as we wrap up this deep dive, remember that the key factors driving the incredible value of the 1983 penny are its rarity, its historical significance, its errors like transitional copper planchets, double die obverse, off-center strikes, and mint mark anomalies, and the high demand among collectors which fuels record auction prices. So never underestimate the power of a single cent. It could hold a story worth millions and might just be sitting in your home right now waiting to be discovered. So get those coins out, check them carefully, And who knows, you might be the next person to hit the numismatic jackpot with a 1983 Lincoln cent worth $98 million, changing your life forever and proving that even the smallest coin can have the biggest impact on your future. Keep watching and keep searching, because the world of coins is full of surprises and we are here to help you find them every step of the way. To this exciting video where we dive deep into the incredible story of the 1992 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that has taken the numismatic world by storm and has been making headlines because of its staggering worth of $99 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny that could be sitting in your change jar, hidden in your drawer, or lying unnoticed in your pocket could potentially be worth a life-changing fortune, and today we are going to explore why this small copper-plated zinc coin from 1992 is so unique, so rare, and so unbelievably valuable. We will go through its history, its fascinating errors, the minting process that gave rise to its unusual features, and why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical amounts for it. So if you are a coin enthusiast, a casual collector, or just someone curious about how a humble 1-cent coin could be valued at nearly $100 million, then stick around, because you are about to learn something that might just inspire you to start checking your pennies a little more carefully. The story of the 1992 Lincoln cent begins with the standard design that most people are familiar with, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse with the word Liberty to his left and the date 1992 alongside the mint mark just beneath it, and on the reverse side the image of the Lincoln Memorial, which had been the standard reverse design since 1959. But what makes some of the 1992 pennies special is not the design itself, but rather the tiny variations and minting anomalies that occurred during production. These small differences, which most people might never notice, are exactly what separate a common penny worth just 1 cent from a numismatic treasure worth millions. Among the most famous errors related to the 1992 cent is the close AM variety, where the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse of the coin are much closer together than they should be. This variety is extremely rare for the 1992 issue and is the result of the mint using a proof die intended for special collector strikes to produce regular business strike coins. This simple die mix-up created a coin that stands out to expert collectors, and because so few of these coins are known to exist, their value has skyrocketed over the years. But that is not all. There are also mintmark errors where the D or no mintmark Philadelphia coins show doubling, repunching, or slight misalignment, and each of these varieties has its own following among collectors who look for the most pristine examples to add to their collections. The presence of a double die on the obverse, where Liberty or In God We Trust appears with a slight doubling effect under magnification, is another factor that can drive up the price dramatically, especially if the coin is in uncirculated condition and has strong luster. Furthermore, there are off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong planchet entirely, which can happen when a blank intended for a foreign coin or for a different denomination ends up in the press, producing a one-of-a-kind error that collectors are willing to pay huge premiums for. The reason the 1992 cent in particular is so heavily sought after is partly because it was struck during a transitional period in the U.S. Mint's production techniques, which means that errors like the close AM or even wrong planchet strikes are especially rare, making them holy grails for serious numismatists. Imagine finding one of these coins in pocket change, taking it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC, and discovering that your ordinary-looking penny is a rare close AM variety in near-perfect condition. Suddenly that 1-cent piece is no longer worth a penny but rather could fetch thousands, tens of thousands, and in the case of the highest graded and most perfectly preserved examples, up to $99 million at private auctions where elite collectors battle for ownership of the rarest specimens. These staggering figures may sound unbelievable, but they reflect the passion, dedication, and financial power of the numismatic market, where rarity, condition, and historical significance converge to create extreme value. Many people overlook the fact that coin collecting is not just a hobby but also an investment, and the 1992 penny proves that even the smallest coins can yield the biggest rewards if you know what to look for. To identify whether you have a valuable 1992 cent, you should carefully examine the reverse under good lighting and magnification to check the spacing between the A and M in America. In a close AM variety they almost touch, unlike the regular wide AM where there is a clear gap between the two letters, and this difference is what makes the coin rare. You should also check for any doubling on the obverse lettering or date, as well as any unusual planchet characteristics like wrong metal composition or missing elements that could indicate an error. Coins that are found in uncirculated condition or with minimal wear are worth significantly because condition is key in determining final value, and professional grading can make the difference between a coin selling for a few $100s or tens of millions. Some examples of 1992 close AM cents have sold at major auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers for tens of thousands of dollars even in circulated grades, which shows just how hungry collectors are to obtain this rarity, and as time passes and more examples are discovered and tucked away into permanent collections, the number of available coins on the market decreases, pushing the value even higher. The possibility of finding such a coin creates a sense of treasure hunting that excites collectors around the world, and that excitement fuels the ongoing search through coin rolls, change jars, and old collections hidden away in attics. There are also reports of unique 1992 cents struck on pre-1982 copper planchets, which makes them even more desirable because they have the wrong metal composition for the year. Such off-metal errors are incredibly scarce and can sell for extraordinary sums. The combination of a transitional design, rare mint errors, planchet anomalies, and die varieties is what makes the 1992 Lincoln cent such a legend in the coin collecting world and justifies the mind-boggling figure of $99 million for the finest known example. When you think about it, this is not just a coin, it is a piece of history, a conversation starter, a tangible artifact from the U.S. Mint that tells a story of human error, mechanical imperfection, and sheer luck that turned a 1-cent coin into a life-changing jackpot. Collectors and investors know that such coins do not just represent metal value but also the thrill of rarity and the status of owning something that very few people in the world will ever possess. So the next time you get change from a store, do not ignore those pennies, take a closer look because you never know if one of them could be the 1992 close AM or an even rarer variety waiting to be discovered, and who knows, you might just be holding a coin that could change your life forever and make you part of numismatic history. Welcome to this exciting video where we dive deep into the incredible story of the 1992 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that has taken the numismatic world by storm. And has been making headlines because of its staggering worth of $99 million, yes you heard that right, a single penny that could be sitting in your change jar, hidden in your drawer, or lying unnoticed in your pocket could potentially be worth a life-changing fortune, and today we are going to explore why this small copper-plated zinc coin from 1992 is so unique, so rare, and so unbelievably valuable. We will go through its history, its fascinating errors, the minting process that gave rise to its unusual features, and why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical amounts for it. So if you are a coin enthusiast, a casual collector, or just someone curious about how a humble 1-cent coin could be valued at nearly $100 million, then stick around because you are about to learn something that might just inspire you to start checking your pennies a little more carefully. The story of the 1992 Lincoln cent begins with the standard design that most people are familiar with, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse with the word Liberty to his left and the date 1992 alongside the mint mark just beneath it, and on the reverse side the image of the Lincoln Memorial, which had been the standard reverse design since 1959. But what makes some of the 1992 pennies special is not the design itself but rather the tiny variations and minting anomalies that occurred during production. These small differences which most people might never notice are exactly what separate a common penny worth just 1 cent from a numismatic treasure worth millions. Among the most famous errors related to the 1992 cent is the close AM variety, where the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse of the coin are much closer together than they should be. This variety is extremely rare for the 1992 issue and is the result of the mint using a proof die intended for special collector strikes to produce regular business strike coins. This simple die mix-up created a coin that stands out to expert collectors, and because so few of these coins are known to exist, their value has skyrocketed over the years. But that is not all. There are also mintmark errors where the D or no mintmark Philadelphia coins show doubling, repunching, or slight misalignment, and each of these varieties has its own following among collectors who look for the most pristine examples to add to their collections. The presence of a double die on the obverse, where Liberty or in God we trust. Back to the channel my friends, today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and jaw-dropping stories in the entire world of coin collecting, a story that might just change the way you look at the pocket change sitting in your drawer right now, because in this video we are going to talk about the incredible 2012 1-cent Lincoln coin with the word Liberty proudly stamped on its obverse. A coin that on its face is worth only a single cent, just 1 penny, but because of some rare errors, minting mistakes, and mysterious variations it has been known to sell for mind-blowing prices, with some collectors estimating its value at a staggering $110 million. Yes, you heard that right, $110 million for a single penny. And in this long and detailed discussion we are going to break down exactly what makes a coin like this so rare, what to look for, why these mint errors are so prized, and how you could be sitting on a fortune without even realizing it. So buckle up, because we are about to take a deep dive into numismatic history and uncover every little detail about the 2012 Lincoln cent that collectors, historians, and investors obsess over. And this is not just about one error but about a wide range of possibilities that can transform an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure, beginning with double die obverse errors where the word Liberty or the date 2012 appears doubled under magnification, creating a striking visual that immediately sets the coin apart from regular circulation strikes. And then there are off-center strikes where part of the design is missing because the planchet was not seated correctly in the press, making these pieces highly desirable and extremely rare, especially when the date is still visible, which adds huge value. Then we must talk about the famous wrong planchet error where a cent is struck on a planchet meant for another denomination such as a dime or even a foreign coin, which results in a lighter weight and a slightly different diameter, turning it into an instant collectible worth thousands if not millions depending on condition. And speaking of condition, grading is one of the most important factors when it comes to determining the true value of a coin like this, because a flawless example with a grade of MS-70 from a top grading service can command astronomical prices that would shock most casual observers. And when you combine that perfect state of preservation with a major mint error like a double die or off-metal strike, you get a perfect storm of rarity that can lead to the kind of record-breaking auction results that make headlines in the coin world. But it doesn't stop there, because there are also repunched mint mark errors where the mint mark, for example AD for Denver or AP for Philadelphia, was punched more than once, slightly misaligned, leaving behind a shadow or ghost image of the letter, which is a major draw for variety hunters. And then we have broad strike errors where the collar die fails and the coin spreads out wider than normal, giving it a unique appearance, or clipped planchets where a piece of the metal is missing, creating a crescent-shaped blank area on the coin. And each of these errors has its own following and its own level of rarity and demand. But what makes the 2012 cent so exciting is that this was a year where the US Mint was producing billions of coins, yet a tiny handful slipped through with extraordinary mistakes, making them almost like hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. And every collector dreams of being the person who finds one in their pocket change and sends it to auction, where the bidding war skyrockets the price to unheard of levels. And let's not forget the possibility of transitional errors where the composition of the coin might have been struck on leftover planchets from the previous year's metal mix, or even a special test strike that was never meant to leave the mint. These are the kinds of numismatic unicorns that keep experts awake at night, wondering how many might still be out there undiscovered. And as we explore the story of this coin, we also touch on the history of the Lincoln cent itself, which began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner with the iconic bust of Lincoln on the obverse and evolving through different reverse designs until the shield reverse we see on modern issues, including the 2012 cent, this long legacy means that collectors have over a century of varieties and errors to chase, making the Lincoln cent series one of the most studied and most beloved in all of American numismatics. And this is why even a modern coin from 2012 can command such attention and such staggering prices, because it fits into this larger story and represents a continuation of a tradition where mistakes turn into multimillion-dollar opportunities. And of course we cannot ignore the role of demand, because without eager collectors and competitive auction houses these coins would not reach such insane prices. It is the combination of rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector demand that fuels the market. And when all of these align, you get coins like the 2012 Liberty cent selling for sums that most people would never associate with a penny. And as we talk about this, we must encourage everyone watching to check their own change carefully, because the next record breaker could be sitting in a jar or under a couch cushion right now. You just need to know what to look for. Use a good magnifying glass, pay attention to doubling on the letters, check for unusual thickness or weight, examine the rim for clips or off-center striking, and if you suspect you have something special, consider having it graded by PCGS or NGC to get an official certification, because that authentication can multiply the value many times over, and who knows, you could end up with a coin worth life-changing money, and that is why we love making videos like this, because the world of coins is full of surprises and hidden treasures, and the 2012 Lincoln cent with all of its possible errors and varieties is one of the most exciting modern discoveries, a coin that has proven that even in the 21st century, even with all of the technology and quality control of the US Mint, mistakes still happen, and those mistakes create opportunities for collectors to own something truly rare and valuable, and the thought of a 1-cent coin being worth $110 million is not just clickbait, but a reflection of how much passion and competition there is in the hobby, because when two or more wealthy collectors decide they must own a unique specimen, the price can soar to astronomical heights, creating stories that inspire more people to start searching, and that is exactly what keeps this hobby alive and thriving. So whether you are a seasoned collector with years of experience or someone just starting out, take this as a sign to pay attention to every little detail on your coins, because you never know when you might stumble upon a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And imagine the feeling of holding a coin in your hand that the world sees as just a penny, but you know it could be worth millions. That thrill of discovery is what makes coin collecting one of the most rewarding and fascinating pursuits out there. So keep hunting, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a single cent to change your life. Everyone, and thank you for clicking on this video, because today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting, the 2017 Lincoln penny. Yes, that small copper-plated zinc coin you might have in your pocket right now, and we are going to talk about how one of these coins shocked the numismatic world by being valued at a jaw-dropping $115 million, which is absolutely insane considering its face value is just 1 cent, and what makes this story so exciting is that this is not just about a simple penny, this is about a rare piece of minting history, a piece of art born out of a combination of design, error, rarity, and collector demand. And today we will explore the history of the Lincoln cent, the production of the 2017 D issue, the types of errors and mint mark issues that have been found, how those errors can drastically change the value of a coin, and why one of these rare pieces ended up selling for such an astronomical sum at a high-end auction. So stay tuned, because this is going to be one of the most detailed discussions you will ever find on this topic, and by the end of this video you might find yourself running to check every single penny in your change jar or couch cushions to see if you could be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. So let's begin with a little history and context. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, when it was first struck to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was revolutionary because it was the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of a symbolic representation like Liberty, and it became an instant classic. Collectors quickly began saving them, and the coin has remained in production ever since, with various changes over the decades. In 2010 the reverse design changed to the Union Shield, which we still have today, and by 2017 the U.S. Mint was striking billions of pennies each year at multiple facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Now the 2017 D penny refers specifically to the coins minted in Denver, which carry the D mint mark under the date. And normally these coins are extremely common because billions are made for circulation, but what makes the 2017 D special is that certain examples were struck with rare and dramatic mint errors that transformed an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Now when we talk about mint errors, we are talking about mistakes that happen during the coin production process. And there are many kinds of errors that can occur, including doubled dies where the design appears doubled because of a hoving misalignment, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing because the planchet wasn't properly centered in the press, die cracks and cuds where the die itself cracks and leaves raised lines or blobs on the coins where the coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, clipped planchets where part of the metal blank is missing before the strike, and even transitional errors with the wrong metal statement. Just like art collectors pay hundreds of millions